Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what I can really only describe as a massive, systemic lockdown hidden deep within ancient texts. I mean, we are talking about an event so profoundly encoded that it operates like an absolute masterclass in cosmic engineering. We're going to look at the story of Joseph and his brothers. But look, this is definitely not the Sunday school version you might be used to. We're going way beneath the literal narrative to uncover the hidden Kabbalistic machinery that literally orchestrated a 22-year blackout of divine revelation.
Okay, so let's just dive right into this massive mystery. Think about Jacob for a second. Jacob is a legendary prophet, right? He sees angels ascending and descending ladders. He literally wrestles with divine beings. His entire life is basically an open, high-speed channel to the divine. So how in the world do you blind a prophet? Like, how could the fate of his absolute favorite son, Joseph, remain completely hidden from him for 22 agonizing years? You have a man who receives cosmic downloads daily, and suddenly he gets zero signal regarding the most important person in his life. No way that just happens by accident. To understand how this information embargo was mathematically and spiritually enforced, we really have to look at the exact moment the signal was jammed. I want you to really picture this scene in your mind, almost like it's shot in a high-contrast cinematic 4K heritage style. The text simply says, "Vayelchu echav lirot," and his brothers went to pasture. Imagine those 10 brothers walking out together into the vast, sweeping desert. You've got the silent flocks moving across the sand, you can hear the sweeping, howling wind, and you can just feel the heavy burden of what they're about to do. But here is the absolutely crucial element that's totally hidden from the naked eye. Hovering right there, completely unseen in the dry air, is the Shekhinah, the divine presence. The atmosphere is incredibly thick, because the secrecy thickening around Joseph's fate is about to be anchored by the very presence of the divine itself. To actually solve this mystery of Jacob's blindness, we've got to move away from the literal text and get into what the mystics call sod, the secret. We're shifting from a simple historical narrative to unlocking the immense Kabbalistic machinery operating right beneath the surface. You know, think of the literal text as the user interface of an app on your phone, right? But the sod is the back-end source code. We're looking at the raw energy, the servers, and the routing protocols of the universe. And in this back end, the brothers didn't just commit a crime. They actually executed a highly complex technical operation to encrypt the data so their father could literally never access it.
And you know, it all comes down to this one specific number: 10. The core teaching of our mystical sources is that the brothers didn't just happen to walk together by coincidence. Exactly 10 of them formed a complete spiritual network. In Jewish tradition, 10 individuals form a minyan, which is a complete energetic circuit. When 10 are unified like that, it automatically causes the Shekhinah server to come online directly among them. They essentially created a localized hotspot for the divine presence. The rule is that the Shekhinah rests wherever there are 10, which means she was fully present and active in their immediate network when they made their next move. Let's see how this actually builds, step by step. First, they execute the physical sale of Joseph. But look, a physical sale just isn't enough, right? Jacob could easily just use his prophetic vision to locate him. So, step 2, they forge an unbreakable oath of secrecy. And then, step 3, this is where the real heist happens. Because they had exactly 10 nodes, 10 brothers, the Shekhinah was right there. They forced the Shekhinah into their closed circuit, effectively binding the divine presence to their oath. They literally weaponized the divine presence to lock the disclosure channel. By making the Shekhinah a party to the oath, they ensured that the very source of Jacob's prophetic downloads was legally and spiritually bound to total silence. To really wrap our heads around this multi-generational concept, let's break it down a bit further. For the kids out there, you can think of this exactly like a video game. Imagine a quest where you need 10 specific magical keys to unlock a hidden portal or to lock a massive vault. Without all 10 keys, the game's code simply won't execute the command. But for the adults, it is pure cosmic engineering. The universe operates on a framework of 10 sephirot, divine emanations. 10 precise human nodes are required to anchor the divine presence in the physical realm. By aligning 10 brothers, they mapped perfectly onto those 10 sephirot, allowing them to literally manipulate the cosmic architecture and force a localized blackout. All right, moving into section 1, cosmic engineering, the sephirotic map. Now, these ancient texts basically act as a schematic diagram, mapping each character to a specific cosmic frequency, or sephirah. Let's look at the mechanics of this heist, because it's fascinating. Jacob is Tiferet. He is the receiver of divine truth. Joseph is Yesod, the foundation, the crucial channel that connects the upper worlds to the lower worlds. And the Shekhinah is Malchut, the server that actually dispenses the information. Normally, Malchut transmits directly up to Tiferet. But look at what the brothers did here. They utilized Givarah, which is the harsh, strict judgment of the oath, and they combined it with Hod, the Sephirah of dark concealment and absolute secrecy. The severe Givarah and the concealing Hod completely clamped down on Malchut. Because the Shekhinah, Malchut, was bound by the oath, she was structurally blocked from transmitting any data up to Tiferet, which is Jacob. That means the hidden foundation, Yesod, was completely isolated from the network. And you really have to notice the Kabbalistic color palette that's active during all of this, because the sources describe these energies so visually. The outer layer is this harsh red of strict judgment. This represents the violent act of the sale itself. This red then plunges into the deep, dark core of concealment. That's the oath of secrecy that just swallows the truth whole. But locked deep inside the center of all of that is white. White represents pure mercy. It's the underlying divine plan, the hidden grace that Joseph is eventually going to save the entire region from famine. But that white mercy, it's totally trapped. It is heavily encrypted beneath the red judgment and dark concealment, just waiting beneath the surface until the appointed time of revelation 22 years later. But wait a second. As we dig into these exhaustive mechanics, we hit a massive glitch in the spiritual network. If you know the text well, you know that Reuben actually left. He went back to the pit to secretly save Joseph, which means he was absent when the brothers sat down to sell him and swear that oath. So if Reuben wasn't there, they only had 9 brothers. They only had 9 nodes. How could they possibly maintain the 10 nodes required to pull the Shekhinah into their localized server? Without 10, this whole cosmic hack just fails entirely. So, according to the really deep result texts, here is the absolute mind-bending twist. To complete the ultimate circuit, Joseph himself was the 10th. The texts explicitly state that in place of Reuben, the 10th node, completing the divine circuit was Joseph the righteous himself. Even though he was the victim here, his soul's frequency was required to hit that critical mass of 10. By being part of that Minyan, Joseph unwittingly acted as the hidden 10th node, powering his own cosmic concealment. I mean, wow. His own energetic signature was the final key that locked his father out of the network. It's just a breathtaking piece of mystical architecture, where the subject of the secret is actually the battery powering the lock. It really forces us to ask a profound question. If Joseph was required to act as the 10th node to lock himself away, how often are we unwittingly acting as the hidden batteries powering our own seasons of concealment? When the universe goes completely dark around us, are we actually the ones holding the key? Think about that as you navigate your own dimensions this week. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.